Hello friends, my name is Type 1. I'd like to welcome you back to World Building Wednesday, the series in which we dive into the world building that I've been going over for the last 15 years. In our last video, we started discussing the races that inhabit the fantasy world I've been creating. We talked about the humans, which are an alien race to Penrose, the vampires, creatures, humans originally, that were cursed or mutated into feral animalistic creatures. Kaolans, the descendants of the vampires, a hybrid of human and vampire, and Edenites, who are refugees of the human race, who adapted to a much higher altitude climate, and finally, the Gemicalcs, or I suppose you call them Gemicalcs. I would go with the soft G, because it's like a gem, right? Makes sense. But they are refugees similar to the Edenites, though they delved deep into the underground. I have made a few tweaks here, mostly to the appearance of the Gemicalcs, because I felt that keeping them purely humanoid would be a bit weird, given how drastically the leaders variate. So, while the leaders, yes, one looks like a huge hulking beast. The men look like huge hulking beasts, while the females have taken on something more of an insectoid appearance. The regular Gemicalcs, while looking vaguely humanoid, like you could see one and think that this is something in the hominid family, they have taken on slightly more insectoid attributes, such as having thinner limbs, longer and thinner limbs. So they're kind of, they're a bit taller, a bit longer, a bit unusual looking, a bit disproportionate even. And their eyes have become larger because of the environment that they live in. They live in an underground cave society. There is light, but a vast majority of it comes from magma light, which is not nearly as bright as the sun, of course. So those are the tweaks we made. Now, before we get into the new stuff we'll be discussing today, if you enjoy the video, I would love to see a like, comment, or subscription. If you enjoy the content I make, I'd love to hear from you. And with that, let's dive right in. So, the bone folk. These here are the natural species, the native species, if you will, of Penrose. So the bone folk, I have to refresh myself every time I start writing how I do these things, so the bone folk. There we go. Just like that. Just like that. So the bone folk are a newer species. Out of everyone on here, they are probably the most recent development. So folk are a simple and relatively new species that has only just appeared in the last 100 years or so. Due to the rapid evolutionary effects of Arcana, these creatures have entered something of a Stone Age, primarily using weapons and tools made of skin and bones. Their name, the Bone Folk, is a placeholder, as the few researching this race have yet to crack the primitive tongue spoken by the bone folk. So I think that's a bit of a trend here. Like, whenever they come across something that could be identified or is identified as an intelligent species, and if there's no communication with it, like they can't understand the language, or as we'll see in the next people, they simply do not communicate in ways that we do, then they're simply referred to by their attributes and then folk, really. So the bone folk, they use a lot of bones in their tools and weapons, in clothing, their society, really. But talking to them has not been established yet. Because, again, this is a very recent race to have been discovered, and their language is extremely primitive compared to, you know, whatever version of language that these people speak. Because I like to imagine that this is some form of English, because that's what I speak, you know, but honestly, like, story-wise, it could be, you know, any human language that has evolved, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years into the future. After all the history of this world, it could be some kind of language like that that's, you know, evolved over millennia. While these guys have really only started using language and tools and such, they're not unintelligent, but they are very early in the stages of evolution. You know, this is like, they're like in their caveman age, practically, is how you could describe it. So they aren't stupid by any means, you know, this is not ignorant, savage creatures. They are just behind us, really, like, quite literally. They've only just started in the evolutionary arms race. They are at the very beginning of the line. See, so let's describe where they're from. Can be found in small pockets in the heights of the Green Sea. And there's another reason communication hasn't been established, is because they live near kaiju country, which is relatively unexplored because of how dangerous it is. People just tend not to go over that side of the plateau. So these dudes live in the forest that's separating the kaiju country from the Mobius Strip, and most people just don't go here. Seems to revolve around recycling organic matter. Every time a member of their race dies, the family will separate the bones, skins, and even organs out and turn them into useful... Hold on, this is gonna bug me. Yeah, I misspelled it, whatever. Into useful items, tools, or even weapons. Many might see this behavior as repulsive or even criminal, but it is speculated that this is a form of keeping their loved ones... No, not like... form of respecting their loved ones' memories with tools, items made of deceased family members being passed down for generations. Okay. Just got a tab in here. The bone folk are a physically small race, standing just shy of 2 feet in height. They appear to belong to the rodent family. The sharp claws on their fore and hind limbs, as well as prominent teeth that consistently grow for their entire life. The bone folk are capable of walking on two legs, and often do, but in emergency when speed is needed, they can fall into an all fours stance for improved mobility. Yeah, we'll do one more in. I don't care. Well, okay. Before we jump into this. So, the bone folk are... I always like the idea. Rats are very smart. Like, earth rats... I don't know. There may be space rats. Who knows? I don't know. We haven't found any yet. But, the rats and mice and such that we have on our planet are very intelligent creatures. Now, I don't think they're, like, in the upper echelons. Like, they're not up here with us hominids or octopuses or whales or anything of that like, but from what I've seen and what I know about rats, they are pretty high up there intellect wise. So I've taken that as a bit of inspiration and created these guys who are rat-like in appearance, quite literally, evolved from some kind of tree rat creature. So they got claws on their front and back legs, like you know, I mean, you know what a claw is, you know, off their fingers, the little finger digits. And they have the prominent teeth, which grow for their entire life, which is I'm pretty sure that's a universal trait amongst all known rodent species, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. Do not quote me on that. I am not a scientist. Big asterisk, type 1, not a scientist. Just passionate about animals. And then, of course, they do have a bipedal stance, but if they need to get somewhere extremely quickly, they run on all fours. So they are very rodent-like, but intelligent. The bone people, that's not the right word, bone folk, observed using some form of spoken language though has yet to be deciphered. Alongside their advanced communication skills, some of the bone folk have even been seen taming larger animals to use as mounts. No known group has been seen anything resembling a farm yet. Speculation states they may not be far off of an agricultural revolution. So I just want to go a little into depth here, because, like, these guys are more, you know, more understandable to us because we are human beings, so I don't need to talk about them quite as much yet. These fellas, totally aliens. Like, 100%, these are not human beings. They have absolutely zero relation to human beings. So they do have a language, though it is yet to be deciphered into whatever the common tongue is zero communication has been successfully done. Well, maybe not zero, but like spoken communication does not exist yet between the human races and these guys. And some of the bone folk have been using larger animals as mounts. They've been learning how to tame animals for their own use. And while none of the known groups have been noticed or seen, or however you want to say it, engaging in agriculture, given the fact that they are starting to use animals for their own benefit is speculated, they may be on the cusp of entering that kind of age. Because what you gotta know is about society, there's a lot of important ages in a society for it to grow and evolve and be prosperous, but it all starts with farming, dude. Like, animal husbandry and agriculture. Like, that is the basics for a growing population. You don't got that, you ain't getting much further. Like, you can hunt and gather all you want, but until you hit this stuff, you're not expanding past, like, a large tribe at most. Like, this is the foundation kind of thing. Alright, so let's talk about our next fellas. Woo! The Swamp Folk. Another race with a placeholder name. These strange... vaguely resemble human beings, but with amphibious... oh, look at me go. Traits. See, how do we start this? Yeah, the simple. Sorry. Let's see here. Swamp folk have been seen engaging in basic societal tasks such as farming and construction, but despite repeated attempts, no one has ever actually had a conversation with the we said already with them. It is unknown. We'll say unclear. I like that word better for here. It's unclear if the swamp folk cannot speak verbally, or if they simply refuse to communicate whatsoever with outsiders. Let's see. Despite their mute appearances, they are entirely neutral to outsiders unless physically disturbed by one, in which case the entire village will become hostile towards the offending individual. Hold on, we've misspelled things. We're getting ahead of ourselves and misspelling all kinds of stuff. Okay, there we go. So they're kind of frog-like people, amphibious. We'll go over their appearance here in just a second. But they do not speak. They have never been seen speaking. They do not make noises like we do. We don't know if they can speak or if they just simply do not speak to people outside of the village. But despite not communicating, they do have a method, some form of contact with each other, because if you actively, you not even have to harm them, but so much as, if you, push one, not like hard, but you just push one, they fall down or something, they will just absolutely, the whole village will just tear you to shreds, kind of deal. Swamp folk bipedal race with attributes that can be seen in both hominid and amphibian families. Is unknown if the swamp folk have any relation to humanity in the same, a similar vein to Edenites, Kaolins, and Jimacalcs, or if they are simply just a coincidence brought about by nature. So the swamp folk semblance to humans, but with slimy skin ranging in colors of gray, brown, and green. Faces are largely similar to humans, but with pitch black eyes and sclera. Hold on, let me fix this. Irises and sclera, as well as a lack of a protruding nose, rather having two individual slits instead. Folk have webbed fingers and toes, and have often been seen spending many hours underwater harvesting river plants and catching fish. Okay, let's see the swamp. Sorry, I keep starting all my sentences like this, but like I don't know, dude. Like even I, the author here, I don't know a ton about these guys. They are mysterious even to myself. They are not really a race of importance within the story, but just a little bit of flair, just a strange little, you know, little pocket of nature somewhere out there. So they live in the, let's see, northwestern region of Kaola country. Wait, hold on. Did I? Yeah, well, no, we do. Where are we doing Kaola country? I mean, yeah, they own it, but like, where is it called? We're in Lucinia, yeah. So I'll make sure I'm right. I don't like typos. Lucinia. And only one village is currently known. Most societal traits, psychological traits, and reproductive traits are entirely unknown about these creatures. They present enough evidence of intelligence to classify them as an intelligent race rather than just simple animals. Hold on. Of a society. There we go. I like that. That flows a little bit better. Alright, and if y'all won't hate me for this, we talked a lot about the bone folk and the swamp folk in our edits to the Jim McCallochs. I think we'll make the race section of our fantasy stuff kind of a three-parter. We'll talk about these guys, because they're offshore guys. Like, they do not live on mainland Penrose whatsoever. You'll find out where they are later. Though I'm sure if y'all been following the videos, you can probably take a guess. But I think I'm pretty happy with how this is for now. The swamp folk, total mystery. They're a bunch of slimy frog people hanging out in the swamp. If you touch them, they'll beat the crap out of you, if not outright kill you. But otherwise, they're chill. And due to the fact that, you know, like physical touch in general is just like a big no-no for them, it is unclear what their relation to humans are, or if they just, you know, ended up looking like us, kinda. And then we've got the bone folk, who are our lovely rodent race, which I'm quite fond of. I mean, even though they also don't really have a prominent place in the story, I mean, I'll be honest with you, these two are kind of set dressing, but I want the world to feel more alive, and, like, let's be real, alien planet's gonna have, if it has life, it'll probably have some kind of race. At least, as far, I don't say that in a scientific, real-life way, I say that in a story way, right? It's more interesting that way anyways. But that aside, I think I'm happy with where we're at with these guys. Oh, what I'd give for, like, a full, detailed guidebook to be made one day of all my stuff. I think that'd be really cool, with, like, illustrations and stuff, so it looks like a real, like, scientific field guide kind of thing. Like, I think that'd be really sick. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But until then, friends, my name has been Type 1. I'd like for you to have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and night. Bye-bye.